Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Yes, welcome. So, we're trying some stuff. It's not different stuff this time. It's just stuff. So, if you guys could let us, yeah, well, yeah, super good news. So we can chat again like normal people. I made the mistake this week because I just hit that button and I was like, reuse the settings. Last week was fine. Whoops. My bad. My bad. Okay, I'm gonna catch up on chat because I was doing other things. Um, well, congratulations, Helge. That's amazing. He's a grandpa. Greg's bike went away. It'll do that. He he just has to reset a thing. I told him that he needs to learn sign language. Do you guys agree? Let's all take a vote. We think Greg. Oh, there he's back. No sign language for Greg. Um. Yes. Yes. So yeah, his mic might cut out a little bit, and if you guys notice that, we can yell at him in chat or whatever, and tell him to stop fooling around and get his mic on. We may we'll figure it out one of these days. Before we get too far into it, let us do this. We would like to say thank you to all of our patrons. Thank you. You guys are awesome. We appreciate you. Um, Held special shout out for you, my friend. Thank you. If you guys are interested, patreon.com/3D Make It is the Patreon. So that's where we post kind of behind the scenes stuff. One of our patrons sent us some let's just say closed secretive things. But we're going to be doing a video this week-ish on that stuff. So we'll be posting some of the behind the scenes as we go footage to Patreon. So that's where you can find that stuff. But again, you can also watch the video. You just don't see all of the stuff. Yeah. Greg, you're muted again. Maybe switch to your crappy mic. You're you're off. Okay, he's gonna sound terrible, folk, and then we'll figure it out. Um, no, that's fine. That's fine. So, Dominic, I very much. So I'll tell you two truths. Two truths. Kira does have a fix mesh, a repair mesh plugin in the marketplace, and it's called Mesh Tools. You can download it, and it will try to repair the mesh. And it will also report if the mesh is broken. I find that sometimes that one just does not cut it. The mesh repair tool says it runs, but then it doesn't actually repair it. So if you're looking for an automatic way to repair a mesh, we actually did a video 2 months ago, maybe, Greg. I forget when that one was, but we showed how to use 3D Builder, which is super easy. But that one sometimes doesn't grab it. So I think that if you opened it in Prusa Slicer and used its plugin with the NetFab, now you can do NetFab on its own too. Um, To actually buy it is pretty expensive, but there's the online version that is free, and you can use the NetFab engine in Prusa and then hit File, Save, and export the build plate as an STL and then bring it back in. Um, I think that's probably the slickest way to do it. There's also I can't Mesh Mixer that can do it for you. It has some healing and mesh repair tools. That one's a little more complicated. It's less automated and more you get to find the holes or the inverted triangles and fix them. So, um, mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed the other day. Okay, now getting weird splashback from you, maybe. Anyway, yeah, this is fine. So the video I did yesterday, I downloaded the 4.9 beta and used it in there. It's pretty sweet. We looked it over this morning, the GitHub log, right, Greg? And it, it's a lot of the improvements in 4.9 are a lot of visual improvements in the preview section with line types and line width colors. One of the cooler things, and this has been a problem with like Prusa Slicer, Slick 3R, pretty well any slicer going back. The Z seam never seems to show up in the slicer, but in Kira 4.9, it does. You can see the seam. So before you print it, you can see that nice vertical seam where it might show up, whether it's spotty or whatever, right? So I think that's one of the bigger bonuses right now in 4.9. Yeah. Maybe, yeah. No, I can hear you. I hear you. I don't know. I'm hearing you. I think that was an old message, I think. Yeah. Okay, one sec. Talk again? Yeah, your audio's coming out through Streamlabs. I see it coming. Or not Streamlabs. So Greg. Greg is muted. Okay. Just one second, folk. I gotta turn up a volume here and see what's going down. So if you just give me 1 second, I'm gonna do that. Let's transition to the scene again, and then I'm just going to 1 second, guys. Transition. And can you talk again, Greg? Yeah, you're coming through as far as I know. It's not coming through YouTube. Can you guys tell me if Greg's coming out now? Educational information. I like it. Um, that's just straight up. Can you guys hear him now? Yeah, I hear you just fine. I'm not sure. Let's see. Your NDI source is going out on this. No. Nope. One second, guys. I'm really good at computering. Okay, let's shut that down. And I got a nope. It is weird. Well, let me try this. This 1 second. This is terrible. Okay, now talk.
Just, yeah. I'm talking.
Can you guys hear Greg
Now I
now?
can hear myself. But hopefully we can
Can you hear him now?
hear me now. Hello, hello, hello. What, I should go back to bed? Oh yeah, we got some yes. Okay. So we got some yeses. I
Okay.
don't know what happened there.
Well, like right now, I got you coming through the.
Okay.
I got you coming through a different audio source completely. So I'm gonna shut
Okay.
down. So if you, yeah,
Okay.
if you hear yourself, I'm sorry.
We got a whole bunch of yeses. So
And smiley
Okay.
faces, but I do like the go back to bed thing too, though. If you
well,
don't,
sorry about that. We're not sure what my mic was acting up, but I switched to my other mic, which isn't so great. But I don't know why it quit. So we were just talking about bug fixes, and they've added a number of printers to Cura, and a few other changes and whatnot. So it hasn't been like, a drastic change, but they do have quite a few new printer profiles available and whatnot. So
yeah.
I don't know if there's too much else to say on that. We can go to the next one possibly.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you-
Kira is still Kira. It was slow and
Yep.
sluggish to open, and slicing took it a minute, even on that little tower. So, aside from the visual improvements, they still haven't optimized the slicing engine. So,
Yep.
yeah, no
But
arcade in
I
there.
was surprised to see that there is because we had mentioned like a couple weeks ago that the alpha of Prusa Slicer 2.4 was out, but you had to compile it yourself. And
Mhm.
then I looked this morning, and Prusa Slicer 2.3.1 release candidate is out.
Yeah. What the heck? Well, the real
So
question
I don't know if
is
they're
where to
still
go.
moving ahead with 4, and they're just adding a few more things, or they didn't have enough big enough changes to justify the major release. But there are some cool tidbits in here.
Yeah. There's some neat happenings inside. One of the coolest ones isn't even like specifically like an improvement to the slicer per se, but if you're on a Chromebook, you can slice with Bruce's slicer. What? What?
Yeah, yeah, and we were speculating a little bit previously. Like the other thing they've added is now support for the ARM based processors from Apple. So I'm thinking that once they had the ARM kind of code base
Mm-hmm.
working in there, they're like, well, why don't we just do Chromebooks as well? So you've got the support for the new Apple M1 processor. So you can now render on an Apple M1, which for a while this was one of the apps that wouldn't work. But now we also have Chromebook support, which is actually pretty cool because that hopefully opens up Prusa Slicer to a lot more people.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just, it looks like they're adding auto launch features in 2.4.0. So when you could run it as a enterprise or consumer based standalone, when your Chromebook boots up, it'll automatically launch. So that's kind of cool. But
Yeah, and
2.4 is
and
still out there. It's just this is the release candidate.
Yeah, but I'm also happy to see that they've added a ton more third-party printer profiles. So if you have the Ender Max or Ender 4, Ender 6, CR5 Pro, they have the CR6 Max, the CR10 Max. They've added a whole bunch. They've added some more artilleries. So they've really kind of expanded their third-party support, which is wider support is always good for the entire community, really.
It
So
is, yeah. And I mean, the way they're adding it too, guys, it looks like it's kind of the same as Kira. People fork and then add printers in now. That's the way Kira gets all its new printers, is people that have tested them just kind of fold them in and donate them. Um, Dominic, or not Dominic,
yeah,
Stig?
Dominic.
Yeah, Dominic, yeah, sorry. I wish there was documentation to translate my Kira settings to Prusa. I can't seem to get Prusa to work as well as my Kira. Um, so I did that when Prusa Slicer first came out. I went setting to setting and like transferred all of my settings over from my Kira profiles. But
Yeah.
with the last release, so with 2.3.0, I haven't even looked at my profiles in Prusa Slicer anymore. I just use the built-in ones.
I gotta say the built-in ones are rock solid right now. I've at least for my printers. I'm not sure what printers you're running right now,
Yeah.
Dominic, but um, for my Ender and my CR10, um, they are really good. Like they work really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy with the results I'm getting. So
If
yeah,
you're
so
if you're really running into issues there too, Dom, and you can't get the built-in profiles working as nicely as you want, feel free to send me your Kira config. I can look at it and convert it for you. I wish that somebody would program a tool, but they haven't.
I know a programmer.
Yeah, I'm not making a tool. No, I don't want to. Maybe we'll see. So Stig did ask a question way earlier, just after. Um,
Where's Stig's
so
question?
Stig's question is right here. Someone told me that you have to print a little slower with direct drive. And if you guys, if you're not on the Facebook group or the Facebook group community or in the Discord, Stig recently did did a project where he converted his, I think it was an Ender 3, but like he made it a direct drive printer with some printed mods, and away you go. And Stig, yes,
Looks really
and
nice.
it blows, yeah, like it probably blows most of those kits out of the water. But do you have to print slower with direct drive? No, and yes. It's all relative. You can only
It
print as
depends what
fast.
you're printing.
Yeah, and it depends on your extruder, right? Because if you can't get volumetric flow for the speed that you want to move, um, and the weight you're actually adding to the gantry will never match the weight that you're throwing that bed around.
Yeah.
Like the
Well,
force of your
and
bed's always more.
you are throwing you do have to overcome some mass right on your x-axis because you've added more weight. So there is that, but I don't think, and that could we could definitely look at some of our testing, right, David, with our upcoming roundup. That could be one of the aspects we look at, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, like with the one that you guys know that I've done already, I haven't slowed a lick down. And I print fast. I've had the direct drive going
He
like
prints way
150.
faster than I do.
So again, it all comes down to you're almost more limited in volumetric flow than you are the weight of the gantry moving back and forth. And then if you do run into issues, yeah, you can play with the depending on your firmware, it would be jerk and acceleration or S curve acceleration and that stuff to smooth it out. Put the
Yeah,
brakes
linear
on, so to
advance.
speak. Yeah. So I used a zero 0.6 nozzle and 0.32 layer height. Okay, so yeah, like you were printing that at a, it was a beefy, it's chunky print, chunky.
Yeah, but that should be fine.
It should be,
Really.
yeah.
Like,
The only limitation, honestly, I can see, Stig, with a mod like you did, where you printed the part, is the actual sympathetic vibrations in the frame and the plastic part. You might run into some skating issues there, but like even then, you'd have to get pretty lucky to hit that vibration to actually see anything.
And
So
I do believe he printed it all in PETG,
yeah, and
right? So
so
so that
that's
that if anything would maybe um, absorb a little vibrations and kind of it would change kind of the harmonic frequency a little bit too.
it totally would. Yep, because I mean, it's not a rigid plastic at that point. Like if you guys know, and we talked a little bit with Harmon actually when he was on the show a few weeks ago about it. But PLA is a tough plastic, but it is
Hmm.
not a strong plastic. So like if you bend PLA, it'll snap. It actually
It'll
snaps.
shatter.
It'll shatter, and that's the end of it. If you take PETG or nylon or even ABS and you start to bend it, the first thing that happens, depending on which one of those materials is it flex. So it starts
Yeah.
to flex and turn. And in some cases, it won't even break. You just end up turning it flat against the other edge. In some cases, it breaks. But
Yep.
that's why people, there's a few different words out there for strength. You know, is it tough? Is it strength? Is it rigid? Right? And those
Heat
kind of
resistant,
yeah, heat resistant
right?
could be really strong, but if it melts at like 4 degrees, it's not very useful
No,
unless it's on the
no.
spaceship or something. I don't know.
Unless you're using wax to
Yeah.
do some relief molds or something.
Yeah, and I kind of said that actually too in the video that I did. It's like if you're printing at 175 on a temperature tower, it's either wax or the worst filament on the planet, and throw it away. Right? Because
Yeah.
and I am gonna throw away this temperature tower. It's not even um, it's
Helpful.
no. I mean it is, but there.
What filament did you use for that?
It was that white. Um, the white from Matter, I think.
That Matter 3D.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, what the original one I printed, full transparency, was helpful. I printed a big tall one, but hotter temperatures. That one was helpful. This little one was, I already knew what temperatures I had dialed in, so I kind of knew what I was going for. I
Yeah.
cheated,
And
y'all.
and I do believe like if we do end up getting some Matter 3D or some other ABS, because we typically don't print ABS. We want to make sure that when we start doing parts and whatnot, that we have the right temperature.
Yep.
So we will be doing a temperature tower for those materials because those are not. I mean, we're primary PLA, PETG printers.
Yeah, yeah, I got
Right,
some
yes. So
TPU too, but
yeah,
I mean I can
because
count how many TPU prints I've done probably on one hand, right? So
I have a roll and I printed some stuff just to because I wanted to.
yeah,
Right.
just to print TPU.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are y'all printing? What do you guys got going on? Pop it in the chat. What is your most printed material? I'd be interested to see. So, PLA is a bioplastic, right? And an interesting thing I discovered yesterday, day before, I had printed some letters for my house, or not letters, numbers, house numbers, and they've been outside for 2.5 years, 3 years, on the back fence there, and I walked past it the other day, and it's still there. Like, don't get me wrong, but like where I put the screw in, it used to be a gap, like a half-inch gap between it and the fence. No, they're touching now.
Yeah, they shrunk.
Yeah. So
So we have a question about ramps
PLA.
between 1.4 and 1.6. Do you need to change your firmware? It, my understanding, and David, I value your opinion on this. That if all the physical hardware besides the ramps board is the same, the connections, you've got the same end stops, you've got the same everything else, the and you've updated your information, the firmware should be the same. Like because it's basically they added some end stops and a few more pins, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They remapped a few things, so you might have to choose a different board. But I don't even know if you have to do that with
Um,
RAMs.
y- you might have to if you're going from a 1.4 to a 1.6 because the pinout is a bit different.
Yeah.
That's
So so so
it
you but
probably would work, but yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
I
you just want to be careful because well, either way, like I mean, you're gonna have to flash a firmware on there. Um, so if you're thinking of just throwing the bin file on there, I mean, typically you should have had the Marlin code, so you should be able to just take a quick look in there and see if the pins information has changed drastically from 1.6 to 1.4. I have no ramps boards anywhere, so I don't have a lot of experience with that.
Yeah, it will work. The biggest upgrade was power connectors because well, the original ramp boards kind of caught fire a little bit here and there. So they upgraded power connectors and MOSFET. So I got a lot of people that say PLA. A lot is three, but like we got people that say PLA, PLA, PLA. Stig says PETG, and I print a lot of PETG, more than I did before. Um, and I think
What is MLA?
so. MLA is it's basically the same thing as PLA, except they use a different base. It's not corn, but it's bio MLA is in the same family as PLA. MLA plastic. I'm looking up what the actual acronym
I just
means.
yeah, but you said you printed spool MLA.
Did I? No, I wanted to know if it was spool MLA. Is that?
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't say I printed it. I said, is that
Oh,
spool
oh,
MLA?
oh, because
I
Raymond asked about the
yeah,
bio MLA.
yes,
Got it.
yes,
Okay. I was a
yes.
little behind on chat.
I'm
Sorry.
just, I was like, I didn't say I printed it. I want to print it, but I don't think, like, when you look at bio MLA versus Emma or PLA, like the printing temperature, super similar. It, it's about the same everything. Um, again, it's like, ready for the biodegradable.
3,000 years.
If it makes you feel good to say that your filament is biodegradable, you can. I'm not gonna stop you, right? Like, go for it. But yeah, like PLA is biodegradable, but again, if you leave stuff sitting out for a couple years, it's not gonna just disappear. There has to be
No.
chemical processes and. But we cover all of that when Amin was here. I loved his
Yeah.
like, no, he's not gonna no. That was such a good answer too. Um, I'm trying to find the acronym for BioMLA. I forget what the M stands for.
Oh, Ray might know.
Ray, do you know what the M stands for? Um, we'll find it. Or if I can't find it, we'll ask Almond. He'll know. Yeah, I'm done running this rabbit down the
It's
hole.
true. Dominic said that given enough time, everything is. Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Well, like, what about cockroach? Because apparently those.
Well, it depends. If it's a dead cockroach, probably.
I've seen. Okay,
But
so Raymond says the temperature is like closer to PETG, not PLA. Um,
oh, interesting.
but I actually was it filaments.ca? Somebody, I was on one of them sites and they do have a different blend of it again. So that's blending, which means you're degrading the quality of the filament to bring the printing temperature down. But I've seen
Yeah.
some lower ones. Um, but yeah, if you guys, do you guys want to learn about BioMLA? Because I'd be happy to order a roll. We could do an episode. Thumbs up if
Good.
you want to
Good. Good.
hear some BioMLA nerdness going down. Dominic says, I'm debating trying TPU. Is it possible for the 85A through a Bowden tube with a Titan extruder on the Ender 5? So,
They 85 is a lot softer, right? The the lower the number, is it the softer it is, or is it the higher the number? I can never remember.
um, I've actually printed 85 and 95 through a Bowden tube on an Ender 3. Now, both of them actually printed close to 10 millimeters a second, so it was not like a speed competition. Like, I'm sure Stig can attest to it if he's done some stuff, but like my direct drives can push it out 60 millimeters, no problem at all, right?
Yeah. You've got especially like the Ninja Flex and some of those other ones. They are more useful for printing on a direct drive than they are on a Bowden system when they're super flexible. But if you get some of the stuff that I don't even remember what the stuff I got. I think I got it at Spool, but it's flexible, but it's not like Ninja Flex flexible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so,
it's
I was able to print it Bowden, but I did have to slow it down. I think I was even going like 30 millimeters a second is what I was printing at, and it printed fine, but it wasn't like super flexible. Now the Ninja Flex stuff that someone gave me a little bit to try, man, I put that through the Hemera.
Yep.
Oh, I was printing normal speeds on it, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and that's what the Hemera and H2, right? Yeah, or the LDO, like anything with a nice short path. So the higher, I wanted to make sure I was right before I said it, and you are correct. The higher the number, the harder the material. So if you have like 95, that'd be easy. 85, you can, but you'll have to go slow. And by slow, I mean, like anywhere between 10 and 25, no faster than 30 kind of thing. The length of the Bowden tube and the type of Bowden tube also plays a big role when you're printing those flexibles now, because if your flexible filament is of good quality, like the brand is Ninja Flex or Polyalchemy or like Spool, if it's a very high quality, and you know that the diameter and the tolerance of your filament is really close to that 1.75, XS tubing is the best way to get this done. It constrains the filament and it keeps it from buckling, and if it buckles, you have back pressure, and that's when you start seeing the corkscrews out of the Bowden extruders, or it just plain old stops printing and you're losing your mind. Or you have a clogged hot end with the world's softest material. That's embarrassing right there. And like Greg says, like we do, like I've printed some phone cases, right? And you've done a few things too. So it's when the need for TPU arises, we have it. I like to use it as an intermediary, like as a foot for stuff. So like, if you got something you want to put on your desk, or if you're going to be building a planter, right, you can use it as a intermediary, because it's if you print it good, it becomes very waterproof. And it's actually, so you have to be very careful and read the labeling, but you can get TPUs that are resistant to chemicals. So you could store like some vinegar, right? Because they say put vinegar into a titty bit of bleach or vinegar into certain flours. They need it. And so if you're doing that and you did that with a PLA, straight up vinegar and vinegar would eat away your poor planter if you're using PLA planter. So TPU is a good intermediary for that. Yeah. What do we got? Ben says Ninja Flex through Hemera, 100 millimeters per second. Show off.
That's crazy. crazy fast. So,
Again, the Hemera and the H2 are actually specific, and the one you got, the Bondtech LGX.
Yeah.
There's the Flex version. These are specifically designed to push flexible filament through quicker. It's interesting. When I first was printing with flexible filaments on my CR10S, I think it was 95 short, but I had to relieve tension on the extruder, not put more on.
It was squishing it too much.
Yeah, so it wasn't going through, and then I was like, "Wow, what was going on?" Ben says it was ugly. Um, hey, as long as it printed, that's what matters.
Strange. Yeah,
What Ray says
yeah.
he's
And
printed
I'm
paintball
I'm still
parts. Yep.
waiting for some new boards to come in.
Oh, are they not here yet?
And
Let's call them out. Let's call them
no,
out right now.
no, I've got one in, and oh man, if Big Tree Tech would just ship my stuff, they said they screwed up, but
There it is. The company
I
name
don't.
drop. Big Tree Tech.
But we'll see what happens. But Fly got me their board.
And you had an interesting little live stream
Yeah,
earlier
with
this
the mic
week.
cutting out.
Yeah, I joined and there was no audio, and then it was private to start with, and I don't know.
Yeah,
Did anybody
I,
catch that? I'm just curious. Did anybody catch Greg putting some rep
I,
rap firmware?
it was just my first impressions because I've never set one of these up. The new duet style rep firmware, and so I thought I would do a kind of fumble through first impressions, get a feel for it and whatnot. And I gotta say, once that interface comes up and you get the firmware on there and you get the web interface up, it's pretty snazzy being able to change all your settings without recompiling your firmware. You just literally change a text file and reload it, and you've now got your new settings active. There's no recompiling every time and whatnot. So I like that feature. This one does have a little expansion spot on the bottom, similar to the Big Tree Tech expansion. So I don't know if that would mean that we could do IDEX or something with this. I'm waiting for the IDEX kit that I ordered with the RepRap firmware E3 board, which is going to be very similar to this Fly board. They have some nice features on these drivers, though, that I was pretty impressed with. Let me pull one of the drivers out. So, if anyone's used a 2209 on like a Big Tree Tech turbo, 1.4 turbo, you have to actually cut. Ooh, it's not letting cut one of the diagnostic pins there off, because if you're not using sensorless homing, it screws things up. But this one, let me see if I can get in the screen here. It's not refocusing.
Focus.
But there is a dip switch right there.
Oh, so you don't have
And
to
that
actually
dip,
cut it.
that dip switch, you can turn the diagnostic pin on and off. So if your board doesn't support, like a 1.3, for example, you can just do a jumper to enable or disable the diagnostic. And the new SKR2 has put back the jumper, so you don't have to destroy your 2209's pin. But if you have a board, these Fly drivers allow you to just flip the switch on and off, which I think is a brilliant move. So,
Only one person's responded so far to the Caption Greg contest. Your video froze for a while, and so then I said, "Let's caption him." So the only response right now is Ray's, "Dave, you have beautiful eyes," as Craig stares into them. Because that's how you were kind of frozen, like just looking my way.
But yeah, so the board looks pretty cool. It's got the nice little Wi-Fi antenna that pops out. So far, my initial impressions are pretty good. I'm going to work through some more advanced settings. I want to make sure I can get one of the Big Tree Tech screens working on it. I also want to make sure that the Ender screen edition that they have for RepRap firmware does work on this, because they supposedly were working through that. Duet specifically doesn't normally support those screens. But yeah, so I got a few things coming up that I'm gonna review before in config wise before I throw it into a printer, and I'm just debating on which printer to put it in, because I also have the new V0 sitting behind me in pieces because I don't have the ABS parts.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, it's it's cute.
Would you
Like,
describe it
I
as
don't know.
darling?
Oh, I can't, like, just the it's a 1515 extrusion is just like tiny. Um, and then I pulled out the linear rails when I was doing the inventory on making sure I got all the parts, which I'm missing a thermistor, but the linear rails are just itty bitty.
Itty bitty
Like, it's
cutie Woody.
amazing. I wasn't I you see these beefy linear rails that people put on their 2020 extrusion and 2030 extrusion and whatnot, and then you pull out these little guys that fit on the 1515, and they're like just so small.
They're the nicest little tiniest things. The Ben says that is converting. Yeah, is converting an Ender 3 Pro to print 3mm filament 2.85. That's a great idea. The
Filament's cheap.
yeah, it's like clearance right now for the most part. Because the only people actually printing 3mm is like industrial. So if you're doing like large prints and need to hammer them out quick, that's who's doing it. So yeah, it's kind of cheap for the hobbyists right now. We have about 250 spools. Whoa!
That's a lot of filament.
In your garage, you just sitting on 250 spools of filament. I like it. I like it. I like
Did
where
you
it's
get
going.
it on sale, Ben? Admit it.
A family
You
that
saw the
prints
sale and
together
had to
stays
buy it.
together. Yeah, I like it. I just want to. There was one question I saw come through chat here, and just want to make sure we get them all. Yeah.
All
Yep,
right.
yep, 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 yep. This is where we play. David has to read chat that he missed for a while.
Well, I can chat. So yeah, he got 86 cents a spool in an auction. Wow. I hope it's is it PLA, Ben? Because I mean that's amazing. 86 cents a spool. Like, I mean, I'm impressed when I get, a spool for $18. So 86 cents is like just very amazing.
I think somebody struck out. Maybe the police thought it was like cocaine instead of filament or something, and then it was a police auction.
Stig asked the question: won't you need a more powerful hot end to melt 3mm filament? No, you don't need a more powerful hot end. You will have to adjust your feed rates and whatnot, because your diameter of your plastic that you're melting, obviously it's going to take a little bit longer to melt that because it has to heat up a bigger diameter. But if you went with a volcano, or you went with something a little bit larger heating area, that could compensate. But you should be able to fit, with just a regular heat break, print it. But you're going to have to adjust your feeds and speeds appropriately, because it won't melt at the same rate as a 1.75 for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna show this screen share. Just give me a sec. I wanted to show. So if you guys aren't in the Facebook group, it's a good place to be. Facebook group, or 3D Make It on Facebook too. Or 3D Make It everywhere for that matter. You can find us
on Patreon. And don't forget, guys, the algorithm likes it when you give us a thumbs up. So if you haven't done so, please think about giving us a thumbs up here today. Or if you haven't subscribed, please do.
So there's our YouTube console. I think so. Hopefully you guys can see this. I brought it up in another screen. So this is the mod that we're talking about. So this is what Stig printed off to convert his Enter 3 into. You can tell it's an big power supplies there. I just can't tell if it's a Pro or not. But so yeah, it's all printed. It's all patchy. He's got a E3D V6, if I remember right, on there. So he's and you say you're printing pretty fast. I think he said 100. So must be working good. But those are some clean prints too, my friend. When you look at the prints that came off that direct drive, it's pretty impressive.
That's good. Yeah. And he said he was printing at 0.32. They look really good.
They look fantastic. So just to share with the class.
I'm not sure what they're for, but they look really good.
Yeah, we have no idea what you're doing with them. Like that could be like the linchpin in some plan of his that we just gave away. I don't know.
So it's Ender 3 Pro, he said.
Oh, okay, one of the two Pros.
Two Ender 3 Pros.
Yeah, they're good printers. So if you...
So Stig will have to tell us what they're for.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Break the mystery. Just curious, Ben, if it was me printing 3mm, I would use a Volcano. Not that you need to, but I would. Yeah. So I was just curious, Ben, are you just going to put a V6 or a V6 Volcano?
Super fast, yeah. Super Volcano.
Feel the melt.
Yeah, he says 0.32 and 110 millimeters a second. So you're trucking along there with that. That's I don't think you have a speed problem then.
No. I don't even think at home with Petchy, I don't think you need to print faster than that either. That's pretty darn good. I mean, let's see, Stig, if Greg or David has your mailing address, I would be willing to send you some samples of Bio MLA. We don't, but we can play matchmaker.
I'm sure we can facilitate that.
You guys are both Patreons, so yep. you have jump on the Discord and you guys can chat it out.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are both in Discord. So
yeah.
And you can message each other directly there, and where you go.
So they're clips for his mom, he says. She's using them for sealing various bags and her spices.
Oh, yeah. Like,
that's totally...
Yeah. I've seen chip bag
clips.
Totally
makes sense.
Yeah. Those totally make sense, yeah.
See, now that you say it, we know, and
that's
what it is.
It makes sense. Yeah,
definitely what it is. Just so you guys know, we do have a Discord. If you guys have been legacy on the channel, there was a legacy Discord that you could join up. We still chat in that. And then we also have the Discord for the Patreons, and usually it's pretty chatty. This week we weren't so chatty, but this week the world caught fire.
We were so busy at work, we didn't have much time.
No. And again, it's one of those things. Don't you just hate when it's a software update and then it's like, ugh, dumb. Okay.
Well, and yesterday I spent the whole day ripping apart and doing reclamation in my RV, getting rid of mold and whatnot that we had just bought. So I have not had much time to do any of that. And then I just peeked out my window and it's snowing.
Yeah, it's starting to snow here, folks.
It was 23 degrees Celsius yesterday. It was beautiful. And today it's now snowing. It's
Stig, you have hit the nail on the head there too. You should totally print a bunch and sell them to friends, because you can make some money back for filament. Get some more Petchy.
And Ben says he has a Volcano for the 2.85.
Okay, that's what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah.
Again, you don't need it, but when you're getting into the thicker filament, you're probably thinking of printing at 1.2 millimeters extrusion, so it's helpful. Otherwise, you gotta slow down a bit. Snow is only pretty on postcards. Yeah, but if you live in Canada, you get snow whenever. You don't get a choice. It snowed mid-August here a couple of years back. I mean, you're used to it. 3 inches, Cam? 3 inches? What the heck? I forget where you are, Cam. I know you. I know you're here,
I
but
think he's near Red Deer, isn't he?
yeah, I thought up north. What about Ray? Ray, is it dumping there?
5 a.m. Jeez,
It's been snowing since 5.
it's supposed to be spring.
See, well, Greg and I live what I like to call Little Texas. we're almost Alberta, but we're
Well,
almost
and
Texas.
we're in a kind of a weird zone because south of us is Montana, and they get more snow than us. And north of us is Calgary, and they get more snow than us. And we were kind of right in the path where we don't get as much snow as everyone, and so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I think the mountains deflect a lot of it for us. But then Calgary gets hit because it like scoops back.
Yeah.
So if you guys aren't familiar with us, and I think almost everybody here is regulars right now, but that doesn't mean there isn't anybody. But yeah, Little Windy, Texas. Good point, Gary. Little Windy, Texas. Definitely. If you guys want to follow us, all of our socials are on www.3dmakeit.ca. And like we said before, pretty well any social platform. If you go social platform /3dmakeit, you will find us. We are like the only one we're not on is Instagram, and that's because our account got banned.
which is weird.
Yeah.
There's
really no. I think somebody hacked it, honestly, and then started posting inappropriate things.
I don't know if they could have, because that was a pretty randomly generated password.
Yeah, it was like 64 characters. But let's face it, both Greg and I are too old to Instagram with these young kids these days. It's like,
get off my
lawn. I tried TikTok for a week. I didn't get it. Right, like I'm still trying to get people to explain to me Snapchat.
No, what's that? No one uses it.
No, dude, I know 2 people that still Snapchat. Actually, 3.
They must be old, and that they haven't figured out that no one uses it anymore.
Well, one's younger than I am, but like the other one is the same age as me. But she just uses it because her kids like to see the filters. Yeah. We don't know, Ben. Like, I think the first time I popped on, yeah, what the hell is that? You know what? Yeah, exactly, Ben. It was an app, and it was dumb, and then it was gone. Like, it was the most useless thing. It must be missing something. Yeah, but if you guys again, I know we're getting towards the end of the video, but like, share, subscribe. Do all those YouTube things. Greg and I also have a podcast, and guess what the podcast is under? 3D Make It.
3D something?
Yeah. If you get 3D Make It, you've made it to the podcast. I think we did. I want to say there's a space after the Make It, like between the Make and the It. I can't really. Anyway, search it up. It's on literally all of them. I think we broadcast to all of the big platforms. How to be a nerd. Yes. We're gonna. That is actually an episode that's coming up on the podcast. Is how to nerd correctly. we are fairly sophisticated at nerding correctly. The first step is, no matter what, shame people for what cell phone they're using. So if you're on an iPhone, what the heck? If you're using an Android, get with the program. Get an iPhone, right? Like, no matter what it is, it's wrong. Just got to help it. Yes, and it's very important. It's .ca. We're Canadian. We're .ca.
We're Canadian, eh?
The live, yes. And so if Stig, the live stream works very well as a podcast. However, the live stream is very hard to change into a podcast. So like,
well, if your standards for a podcast are super high like David's, otherwise you'd just take the audio and you would just make it into a podcast.
Yeah, but I'm so like, if you guys don't know, like I've been working on the videos and stuff with Greg for you guys, but I've also been in the studio, and by studio, just in this chair with a piano in front of me instead of a keyboard. And I've been making music for the podcast so that we don't have to pay people.
Yes.
Have a good one. Okay, I'm gonna just end this streaming software because it's not working anyway. If I refresh it, does it work? It's, I think it's like actual YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube server status. Oh, it's back up. Guys, it's back up. Oh, no, never mind. It died. Yep. YouTube is currently down. Users are reporting incidents. I'm going to go back to the starting soon. And then we can just chat.